Let us discuss today the 31st December 2015 newspaper. Now, the first central article, it is related to the new thaw in India-Pakistan relationships. This article has nothing new to offer other than enumeration of the events that have happened recently. So, in this context, there are two favorable prime ministers on both the sides. In spite of coming from the conservative right wing, Prime Minister Modi has taken an unconventional turn of diplomacy to increase relations with the Pakistan and to provide for a diplomatic handshake. So in this context, Nawaz Sharif and his initiatives to build the peace with India are welcomed by all the political parties in Pakistan. And in this connection, the Modi's visit is also welcomed with a, greater constructive thought by the media and the opposition political parties. So in this context, based on this thaw which has been built, we have to take the relations forward. So we have to make in something called as resolution of the most disturbing issues, especially the terror related events, and also Jammu and Kashmir going to take a longer time. We are supposed to resolve the other issues such as Sar Creek, etc., to make the things move forward. So in this context, the results established through thaw or this particular engagement cannot be gone waste and they have to be taken forward with ease. Now, is the economy sick? Now let us compare the 2011 up to that particular point, that is 2005 to 2011 on one side and the present situation on the other side. At that point of time, the India was growing around the 8 to 9% per annum, and now it is growing around 7%. More than that, the savings rate and gross capital formation to the GDP, it was more than 35-36%. Now it has come down to around 30%. So it means the amount of capital formation has drastically decreased in India. And private sector investments are very strong. They are drastically decreased now. So in this context, there is an ongoing agrarian distress and industrial production also did not increase and the exports are falling rapidly. So this all shows that there is some systemic weakness in the economy. If you observe, the global slowdown cannot be cited as only the reason for this. So in this context, what the government has to do? So when the private investments are not flowing in, government has to revive the demand in the domestic economy. We have to make or increase the absorptive capacity of our own economy for our goods. But government is excessively focused on macroeconomic fundamentals of fiscal stability. Because of this, easing of or else removing of more and more social sector benefits given to the people, they are going to worsen the distress and weaken the local demand. So this is what is the article's argument is. So let us not reason out every pitfall in the economy on the global slowdown. Let us try to build a domestic demand strongly, and our excessive obsession with fiscal stability and current account stability has to be done away with. The government has to liberally spend into the economy. That's what is the argument. You know that the exports are falling drastically for India. So in this context, the government was trying to revive the exports. So what are the steps it is going to take about? We have the foreign trade policy to the country. Now, based on the unique products of every state, a foreign trade policy will also be given to the every state. And it is something innovative. Second is inverted duty structure. What is meaning of this inverted duty structure? For example, raw materials. A plus B plus C is required to manufacture D. So the accumulative duties on A plus B plus C, if it is 10 rupees, the duty on the import duty on this product D is 5 rupees or 3 rupees. Now, it means for a manufacturing from a particular good, due with the various raw materials and imposed duties on these raw materials is going to be very costly for me. So, the product is going to be around 15 rupees which I manufacture in India, and the product will be around 4 rupees which is manufactured from outside. Some 9 rupees from manufactured from outside. So in this context, Indian products are becoming very costly due to this inverted duty structures. So this has to be done away with. So in the coming budget, they are going to address this. Next, SEZs, they are going to sell in the domestic tariff area too. They are allowed to sell in the domestic tariff area too. Domestic tariff area, you know that SEZs are recognized as the pure exports. It means anything which is coming or going out of the SEZs is seen as an export. If a good is manufactured in the SEZ area and sold in the domestic area, that is considered as an import. And some product which is there from the domestic area and given to the SEZs, it will be considered as an export, and this particular industry in the domestic area will get the export benefits. So in this context, we are allowing the goods manufactured in the SEZs in our domestic tariff area, in our domestic market. But what the problem over here is, India has free trade agreement with many countries. So, and the good is coming from SEZ to the domestic market. Their import duties are levied on these goods. So, for the countries where FTA is there, no import duties are levied. In this context, the products manufactured in our SEZs, if they are sold in our domestic tariff area, they are becoming much costlier. So, the government is going to remove these duties for the goods which are being sold from SEZs in our domestic tariff area. And export credit, India's export credit interest rate is very high. It is up to the tune of 11 to 12% across the world, including China if it is less than 6%. So that's the reason why our exports are becoming very uncompetitive. This interest subvention for the export credit, so bringing down that to some 3 to 4% is a good sign. And aside, it is a project meant for development of infrastructure in the states. Assistance for the states for infrastructure development related to export is the full form. So the guidelines will be eased so that an active infrastructure development related to the exports can move forward. And stand again is the reason. It is about Jallikattu. It's a traditional sport which is played in Tamil Nadu. And in this, a bull, enraged bull, is controlled by a spirited individual. Supreme Court has rejected or, banned this particular sport, citing the animal rights. So in this context, the Tamil Nadu government is trying to revive the sport through a law of the parliament passed by the, in this particular, the coming session. So in this context, this reason has to be prevailed in promoting that such a sports in the name of the culture. That's what the article talks about. The world has reached its multilateral momentum. If you carefully observe the Iran nuclear deal and Paris climate change, United States did not engage as a unilateral power. It has engaged as a partner with the other countries. In the case of Iran P5+1 countries, the developed bloc, it has acted as a partner and pushed its agenda along with the partners. So it means the changing geopolitics and economic architecture of the world, it has also changed the entire unipolar world to the multipolar world. So in this context, the Obama's policy, so lack of excessive interventionism, and also Obama's offset policy rather than direct intervention in the West Asia, and the America's realization of the changing global trends and growth of IAS and a collective fight against the terrorism, all this made for it to engage more multilaterally rather than unilaterally. But this is not a continuous trend. This might not be a continuous trend. If tomorrow a Republican comes into power in the United States, probably these dynamics may change. Above all, there are few threats to it. One is growth of right wing. We saw the Marie Le Pen in France and Donald Trump's image growth in the United States of America. And added to that, antagonistic bipolarity. It means the China-Japan disputes, India-Pakistan disputes, Russia-Ukraine disputes, and Russia-Turkey dispute now. All these are inhibitors, hindrances to the growing multilateral moment of the world. So we have to safeguard this multilateral movement, which has a strong reason for the future. And the textile scheme. So under this textile scheme, so this is now is called amended TUFS, Technology Upgradation Fund Scheme. Under this, 15% of subsidy will be given on the capital investment for three types, that is apparels, garments and technical textiles. Here the technical textile means anything used for medical purposes. If you see if you go to the labs, on the X-ray units you will be having certain textile apparel which has been worn by the technician. That is called a technical textile. So a 15% subsidy on the capital expenditure for the technical, garment and apparel textiles to the maximum tune of 30 crores over 5 years. Similarly, the 20 crore over 5 years for all the other products to a maximum of 10% of subsidy on the capital. So this is expected to boost the employment and also our export competitiveness with regard to textile sector. And next is Iranian banks to open in India. So there is no direct transactions because of the restrictions that were existing on the Iran during the earlier phase. India has to settle more than $6 billion of payments to the Iran, and which it was unable to do due to sanctions. Now to improve the trade between these countries, which is almost to the tune of $13 billion, where 8.9 billion is being done from Iran to India and around 4 billion from India to Iran. So in this context, the banking structure need to be improved, and Iran banks are going to be set up in Delhi and Mumbai. And added to that, Iran also wants Indian investments to flow into the Iran with regard to its infrastructure, agriculture, etc., pharmaceuticals, etc. Similarly, Iran wants to trade more of its oil with the Indian refineries because our refineries can handle the Iranian crude because the crude consists of greater sulfur. And Indo-Israel anti-aircraft missile test fired. This is called as Barak, or long-range surface-to-air missile. So this is developed by India, Israel together. So just remember this for the prelims, more than that it is not necessary. And NAT grid, so the government is going to bring in a new CEO for this national intelligence grid, which is going to collect all the information and use it for anti-terrorist operations. And it was a Chidambaram's brainchild, and after that it has fallen for disuse after the new government has come into existence. And finally, Gnanpith Award to a Gujarati writer. So it is to Raghuveer Chaudhary. So Gnanpith Award is given by Jain Foundation, and it is given for any of the writer who writes on the 22 recognized languages in the 8th schedule of the Constitution. As for the prelims point of view, you try to remember this. Other than this, these are the important articles. And one more thing is related to, I did not collect that article, alumni role in the universities. You can also have that article. The increase is the educational experience of the students. You can take forward that article. Thank you very much and all the best. And wish you a happy new year and all the best. Thank you.